Health officials throughout the Caribbean community want citizens and residents to change lifestyle habits in order to bring about significant reductions in the prevalence of chronic non-communicable diseases. According to one data source, 76.8% of the total deaths in the English-speaking Caribbean were due to NCDs, with cardiovascular diseases, cancers, and diabetes among the top contenders. SKN Newsline asked Nevis' Premier Mark Brantley if studies have been done on NCDs and productivity issues on Nevis.
We feel it has an impact on productivity. People are missing work. It comes at a significant cost to the government to provide drugs to treat hypertension and diabetes. Those are provided through our clinics. We have a system that provides those drugs to our people. And of course, in those who have advanced renal failure, for example, as a consequence of these NCDs, we have the high cost of treatment via dialysis. And dialysis, we know, has been reduced. I believe now it's somewhere around $400 per treatment, but it used to be $800. But regardless of that, if you still contemplate $400 per treatment, 3 treatments per week, that's $1,200 per week. And most of us would never be able to afford $1,200 every single week for the treatment of dialysis to keep us alive. And as I understand it, the kidneys aren't cured. So it's either you get a transplant or you have to be on dialysis for the rest of your life. So we're talking about long-term care that adds up in terms of the costs. And that is really why we continue to urge our people to change their lifestyle. NCDs are referred to as lifestyle diseases. And if we change that lifestyle, we can make a real difference. So I don't have a productivity study, but I would think that the logic of so many people suffering from these diseases would suggest that we're losing time in the workplace and therefore losing productivity.
The Nevis Premier called on residents and citizens to change lifestyles, to be physically active and adopt healthier diets. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force is investigating the shooting death of 26-year-old Rashawn Hopkins of Lower Thibault Avenue, McKnight. The crime was committed between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. on Saturday, May 27th. According to a police press release, they received reports of the shooting incident in the aforementioned area and responded immediately. Preliminary investigations indicate that Mr. Hopkins was attacked by armed assailants and shot several times about the body. He was transported to the JNF General Hospital by a private vehicle where he succumbed to his injuries a short time thereafter. The scene of the incident was processed by the crime scene unit and materials of evidential value were recovered. The police expressed condolences to those who have been negatively impacted by this incident. Hopkins' killing marks the 12th homicide in St. Kitts and Nevis for 2023. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romaine Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got nobody.
Grand Masters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akayu Sweet, Preedy, Guess the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Status. Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Nitra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkittsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
Ah!
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
you're hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar.
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Evans, Mary and Martha Dandrin, Omifa Edwin, Natalie Belmani, Andrea Roberts.
Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew and Minister Marsha Henderson joined members of the Guyanese Association of St. Kitts in a 28th May candlelight service held at the cenotaph in Fortlands as they marked the tragic deaths of over 18 children in the Madeira school dorm fire a few days ago in Guyana. On 30th May, the death toll had risen to 20 when a 14-year-old schoolgirl died from her injuries in an intensive care unit at the Georgetown Hospital. Prime Minister Dr. Drew emphasized with the pain and distress that Guyanese living in St. Kitts and Nevis are experiencing and extended his condolences on behalf of the government and people of the Federation.
So on behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, on behalf of the Cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis, I want to once again in words express our deep condolences and sympathy to you, the people of Guyana, on this most tragic event, but to express them more specifically to the parents and the family members and those who are close or were close to those who lost their lives in this very tragedy. To let you know that we are with you. You can count on our support. Who are of the Guyanese community here in St. Kitts and Nevis have always been a positive contributor to our nation's development. For that, we are eternally grateful. You have become part of us, and together we have become one. So when you feel pain, we feel that same pain. That is why St. Kitts and Nevis is going through this most difficult moment with you, our brothers and sisters of Guyana.
According to Guyana's police, a 15-year-old female student who is suspected of deliberately starting the 22nd May early morning fire has been charged with 19 counts of murder to date. She is remanded at a juvenile detention facility pending a decision on whether to proceed with prosecution of the case. Glenn Bard reporting for SKN Newsline.
St. Kitts and Nevis filmmaker and actress Zaisha Joseph has released a new film, Cognate, which is available on Amazon Prime and other streaming platforms. She spoke to SK Newsline on Monday about her latest production.
Basically, Cognate is about 4 ladies who come from different backgrounds. They all end up living together in an apartment in Brooklyn. And, they're having their issues and stuff like that. But the whole point of the film was basically just to show that at the end of the day, even though we feel that we're different, we're all the same people.
Joseph, a recent graduate of the New York Film Academy, has released 2 full-length feature films, the first being 1 Cent Can't Change. She shared her experience as an independent filmmaker and what it is like to create her own film.
It's not easy, especially being in New York. New York is very expensive. I believe that New York is the most expensive city in the world. It is. It's very expensive. But, at the end of the day, I can't give an excuse. Whatever little money I get from my job, I use that to make my films. And it's very challenging, especially getting actors as well. And the way that we film, I tend to film in a way that is, like, I'm not going to spend one day to film 1 scene because I don't have money to film 1 scene in 1 day. I'm going to film 10 scenes in 1 day or even more because I make short films in 6 hours because that's the money that I have. I can't stretch it out for 3 weeks. I'm not going to make a feature film in 4 months. That's just not going to work, And so I have to use time. But first, it starts with not even the budget. It starts with the script, because I'm also a screenwriter as well. I've written all these films that are out there. I've written them, and also, written a few short films. So it starts with the screenplay, even before the budget. So it's how I write that will determine the budget. So I know what I have, and I know, okay, this is what I need to do. How can I make it more effective, but still cheaper, And so those are the challenges that I face constantly, trying to rewrite my story, making sure that it's budget friendly.
She said the response to her first film was very good.
The response was really good. And as I said, a lot of people weren't able to watch it back home because it was only on Amazon Prime. But so far, so good. I've been getting some really great reviews. Of course, there are areas of improvement. There's always areas of improvement. And so with each film, I try to, focus on the improvement and get better. So yeah, but the reception around it was really good, actually.
Cognate is available on multiple streaming platforms, including Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and Google Play. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romain Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got no body.
Grandmasters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akai You Sweet, Preedy, Catch the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Static, Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Nitra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkittsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
The 15-year-old student whose name, photograph, and other particulars cannot be published due to certain provisions of the Juvenile Justice Act appeared via Zoom before Magistrate Sunil Skeers at the Diamond Golden Grove Magistrates Court. The teenager was not required to plead to the indictable charges, which stated that on May 21, 2023, at Madhya, she murdered Nicolene Robertson, Martha Danrad, Charlene Bellarmine, Yolanda Carter, Adonijah Jerome, Sabrina John, Cleoma Simon, Trissel Thomas, Andrea Roberts, Lisa Roberts, Rita Jeffrey, Laureen Evans, Delicia Edwards, Belnissa Evans, Loretta Williams, Mary Danraj, Omifa Evans, Natalie Bellarmine, and Ariane Edwards. During the course of arson, in relation to a dwelling house, that is to say the Madhya Secondary School, female dormitory. The teenager was being represented by a battery of lawyers led by attorney-at-law Dexter Todd, was remanded to the Juvenile Holding Center until July 4, 2023. Police received legal advice over the weekend to charge a teenager with a murder charge for each life lost. A total of 19 children, 18 girls and 1 boy, died in a devastating fire. A total of 59 girls were staying in the dorms, but only 56 were in the rooms when the fire started. 13 of the girls and a little boy died at the dorms, while 5 died at the Madhya hospital. Of those injured, 6 children were made evac to Georgetown. Presently, 1 girl remains at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, while the other one was flown to New York for critical care. Tiana Ko reporting for the AHGP Nightly News.
To other news now, there's a major development in the fraud case at Stocks and Securities Limited SSL. The accused in the matter, Jean Ann Panton, says she was persuaded by her boss and the company's founder, Hugh Croskery, to confess. Her lawyer filed new documents in the Supreme Court last week. Kalisha Williams has the details.
Ms. Panton, a former client relationship manager, made the claim in her defense in a lawsuit brought against her and 9 others by an investor, Gene Ford. Mr. Hugh Croskery is listed as the 3rd defendant in the suit. In her defense, Ms. Panton said the background of the alleged confession was premised on an offer made by Mr. Croskery on behalf of the first defendant, SSL. In the document filed in the Supreme Court on May 25, Ms. Panton said the offer was an inducement and the statement would not have been made otherwise. She is challenging the claimant to strictly prove the validity of the alleged confession statement and allegations according to law. According to the signed confession statement dated January 7, 2023, which was made to SSL as part of an internal investigation, Ms. Panton named 39 clients whose accounts had a total value of almost $3 billion. She said she took approximately 20% from the amount stated for each account, in addition to a further $109 million. An account in the name of Wellgen Limited, a holding company owned by sports great Usain Bolt, was not mentioned on the list, and SSL in a subsequent statement said it was unaware that the portfolio was affected. Bolt's account value plummeted from US $12.7 million in October 2022 to $12,000 in January. Wellgen has also sued SSL. In her suit, Ms. Ford, who is 80 years old, is alleging she was defrauded $830,000. Both matters, which are being heard together, are scheduled to be mentioned in the Supreme Court on Wednesday. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
At dawn, residents of an apartment block in Kyiv try to absorb what's happened. The building was hit during another night of Russian drone attacks on the city. Emergency services help a woman. A family in shock try to find comfort.
The house shook a lot. It was very scary. People really should be in shelters because you just do not know where things will fly.
In daylight, the scale of the damage is clear. Shattered windows, upturned lives, people still shaken, but starting to pick up the pieces. This man salvages what he can from his car. Others, like Victoria, wait to give statements about the damage they've suffered to authorities. She lives on the 9th floor.
We were sleeping and heard a huge explosion. I grabbed my child and ran into the corridor. It was horrible. I didn't know where to go. I was scared to stay, scared to go. But when I heard people scream fire, I ran outside.
Since the beginning of May, Russia's targeted Kyiv with nearly nightly missile and drone attacks. People say it's exhausting and frightening. We've seen some of the residents come out of the building with their possessions in suitcases, with their pets leaving. Some people telling us that they don't want to stay here anymore because either their apartment has been damaged or they simply don't feel safe anymore. This woman packs her car. She says she's leaving.
Yes, I thought this might happen because air defences are constantly working around us.
Yelena is also going, desperate for some respite.
It's hard to speak. I'm still in shock, still crying. We won't stay here tonight. We have to go.
City officials say Russia's not only targeting critical infrastructure in Kyiv, it's also trying to wear down Ukrainians and crush morale. There's no doubt the nightly attacks are having an impact, but for now, most people refuse to give in, too angry about a war they didn't ask for. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
Start by talking about artificial intelligence, because later the European Union and the United States will discuss cooperation on AI. Ministers are meeting for the 4th time at the Trade and Technology Council in Sweden. They're expected to look into apps and programs that use AI algorithms such as ChatGPT. You may well be aware and familiar with those. Members of the G7 group of leading economies are also meeting today to debate AI and look at how technology should be governed, as well as disinformation and protecting copyright. Let's speak now to Philip Lausberg, who is the policy analyst at the European Policy Centre. What do you expect we might get from these various meetings happening today?
So, I mean, there are 2 meetings, as you already said, the G7, but also the TTC. I see the TTC as the more productive and the more hopeful meeting because it's bilateral. It's the US and the EU meeting. And quite surely there will be something coming out of this, given the risk and the dangers that have been identified quite clearly by both sides. So what we could expect in that in that format is probably some kind of agreement on how what the risks are, first of all, to define the risks, the metrics of measuring the risks of AI and risk management methods, but also the start of developing common standards, to take steps together with stakeholders who will be present at the TTC, who really will give the insights that are necessary to arrive at common standards. And I think that, everyone expects something to come out of that. When it comes to G7, of course, this is a much larger group of states. I think the most we can expect is some sort of agreement and, voicing of intent on tackling these issues, and maybe some common definitions that everyone can align to at what AI means and what are the risks. So far, the EU has taken over already the OECD definition, and there are some people expecting all the 7 states to take over that definition from the OECD, which would be a first step also to start, regulating and defining standards.
Where do you think it will be difficult to reach agreement? What are the sticking points where they differ?
Well, I think when it comes to EU and US, the EU has a tradition of regulating. The US has much less, so they have more an interest in the business side of things. And I think that in general has always been a factor that has been creating somehow difficulties to come to common ground. But given the urgency, I don't think this time this will be decisive. Plus, the actual development of legislation will come afterwards. The TTC doesn't have any, doesn't have any legislative power anyway.
How urgent is it that they reach agreement on these matters, given the speed with which AI and apps that use it are developing?
I think it's very urgent, and especially also because this is the opportunity that democratic states start developing standards on this issue. If this opportunity is being missed, this might be coming from a different angle, for example, from autocratic states, from China. I think time is running out, and we've seen with the EU legislation that has already put something in place that is, it still needs to go through Parliament, but it's going way too slowly to actually react to things like ChatGPT.
Okay. Philip Lausberg from the European Policy Centre, thanks very much.
St. Peter's FC's 6-game winning streak was broken on Friday when MSCR Old Road United Jets came from behind to defeat them 4-1 in Virchals, round 2 action of the SKNFA Premier League. Taekwon Terrell put St. Peter's ahead in the 28th minute, and for a moment it seemed St. Peter's were heading for their 7th straight win. But the second half was all Old Road. Tiquani Williams started the comeback with a penalty in the 52nd minute. He followed that up with a second goal in the 72nd minute to give Old Road the lead before Kaylon Liebert scored a third 3 minutes later. Captain Niquan Brown put an exclamation mark on the victory in stoppage time with a 4th goal. Coach Alexis Morris of Old Road credited his team for their fight and resolve in the second half to claim a resounding victory.
At the end of the first 45, we should not have been down 1-0 with Tikwi gaining front of the goal. At any day, he should be scoring those 2 goals. But nonetheless, we kept working and we dig deep, and we found our way back, like I asked them to, in the first 10 minutes to pile on the pressure. And I know we was going to get back one within the first 10 minutes, and I was going to set up the game for us. So again, I must tip my hat to my guys.
Coach Austin Huggins of St. Peter's said the team was unable to refocus after having a goal they scored early in the match ruled out as an offside goal.
First of all, let me congratulate OR for scoring 4 goals. But I think that the game was a good game. We had an opportunity to score as early as in a couple of seconds as soon as the game started, and the goal was disallowed. And I think that the referee made some very difficult decision that were called against us, and that break our momentum and put us into some unfavorable position. So I don't really know what to say, but we just gotta keep working and come back for the next match.
In the day's earlier match, league leaders 4GK Rockets comfortably defeated bottom of the table Jones Group's Sandy Point FC 3-0. Also in Virchals, Raheem Davis scored for Keon in the 4th minute. Kevon Phillip scored an own goal for Sandy Point in the 10th minute, and Devonte Carty scored Keon's 3rd in the 64th minute. Coach Al Edwards of Keon said despite the win, his team need to do a better job in finishing their crosses.
Well, I like the fact that we got down the wings, which is one of our strengths. I like the fact that we put in the crosses, but I like the fact that we didn't finish a lot of those crosses. So back on the drawing board, we got finishing from crosses, in particular in capital letters. To me, it was a game that we took control of, but the number of goals didn't reflect the dominance that we had.
Shaquan Pemberton, a player with Sandy Point, bemoaned his team's loss at the bottom of the table.
Start the game wrong, and we didn't commit to the plays and let us capitalize on it. Yeah.
What will it take now to get Sandy Point some wins on the board? You need some wins to get some points.
Well, we just back ourselves and back to the training ground again. Come hard again.
Fast cash Saddlers FC suffered a 4-1 loss to Rams Village Superstars on Saturday in the SKNFA Premier League at the St. Paul's playing field. Glenville Gums gave Saddlers a rare early lead in the 18th minute, but that was soon erased when Village won a penalty which was converted by Javon Amory in the 32nd minute. In the second half, it was more Village, again earning another penalty, this time converted by Joseph Wilkes in the 60th minute. Kimari Rogers then got 2 breakaway runs, scoring both in the 73rd minute and in stoppage time. Assistant coach for Village, Vaughn Patrick, said they had a slow start, but they encouraged the players to keep pushing.
Well, yeah, we had a slow start. The fellas went out a little flat-footed. We went behind. We just encouraged them, talk to them, put in the fighting spirit. We get 1 goal, 1 lead to 2, 2 lead to 3, 3 lead to 4. We just keep on the pressure on them and just play the game a little faster. We were too slow in the beginning.
Coach of Saddlers, Samuel Phipps, said some tough calls by the referee affected their ability to get a positive result. He said they will have to work hard now to get some wins under their belt.
Of course, we played most of the difficult teams in the first half of the second round, and then we intend to go back again and work hard and try to get some wins under our belt.
In the next matchup, SL Horses St. Paul's United and Newtown United drew 1-1. The Nielsen Thomas of Newtown gave the East Bastia outfit the lead before April's Player of the Month, Keith Roy Freeman, equalized moments later, heading in a corner. Coach Anthony Netz Isaac of Newtown was pleased with the performance, but said more work has to be done defensively.
Yeah, tonight I'm pretty much 80% satisfied. Counting the last game that we played against St. Paul, I think we did much better defensively, even though we gave up that soft goal, but I'm very much satisfied defensively until from the last game when we come out 4-2.
Manager of St. Paul's, Austin Lewis, said the result is better than a loss.
Based on how the table is set up right now, not a year, but it's better than a last still, so I appreciate the point.
Sunday's SKNFA Premier League action saw Sol Island Auto Supply's Connery FC and Bath United earning crucial wins at the Warner Park. Connery edged Hobson Enterprises Garden Hotspurs 2-1. Errol O'Loughlin scored both goals for Connery from the penalty spot in the 38th and 71st minutes, while the lone goal from Spurs came from Steve Archibald in the 42nd minute. Coach of Connery, Al Richards, said it was an important win for them.
Well, it was a dog fight. I told my team that it's a derby. We've been winners for the last 4 games. We're giant. We're losing, but giant. But the win was needed tonight. In order for us to get back in the table and in the top 6, we needed to win tonight. The guys came out and performed to all the fight to the end. I must say congrats to my team.
Coach Stephen Brown of Spurs said the performance of his team was good, but it was unfortunate they were unable to get the win.
Performance of the guys wasn't bad at all. They really put in a shift. We had some unfortunate calls that went against us that I felt decided the game. But outside of that, I'm content with the performance of the team.
In Sunday's earlier match, Bath United trounced Security Forces 4-0. Goals were scored by Kinesi Dorset, Jalden Myers, Omarion Bartlett and Jamal Lewis in the 19th, the 1st minute of stoppage time, 62nd and 81st minutes respectively. Trafalgar South Stars have shot up to the top of the 2023 SKNFA Division 1 table after they drubbed 607 Construction Lodge Patriots 5-0 on Thursday in Keon. South Stars have only lost 1 game so far this season and have leapfrogged Mantab FC, the only team in St. Kitts Nevis domestic football yet to lose a match. They lead Mantab by a point, 30 points to 29. In that 5-0 victory for South Stars, Alfonso Francis scored in the 7th minute, Jabari Willett scored a hat-trick in the 20th, 32nd and 49th minutes, and Ronaldo Nisbeth scoring the 5th goal in the 60th minute. Meanwhile, on Saturday, also in Keon, Hard Times dismissed Rivers of Living Water 3-0. Scoring for Hard Times, Leger Labor in the 56th minute, Kerry Moore in the 62nd minute, and Tamarly Wilkinson from the penalty spot in the 80th minute. Captain of Hard Times, Jaron Hamilton, said the team played better in the second half.
Talk about the game and how it went for your team.
Well, first half was a bit frustrating. Second half we came up with a different game plan, executed. end up to get 3 goals. That's another win. So we're about undefeated in about maybe 8 games right now. So we're trying to keep the momentum to go on until straight to the second round. See if we can make it up to the top.
What do you credit for the kind of performance you've been getting lately?
Well, mostly is sometimes it's from an individual player, but today it was mostly a team effort, you know, from training and all that, tactics and so.
Derek Mills, a player with Rivers, said the player shortage continues to plague his team, despite getting new players in the second transfer window.
Well, unfortunately, we've been playing most of the time with 11 men or less than 11. Most of the time it's a struggle to get players to come out and play. We just have to regroup and come again next season. We got a few new players, but we've been struggling a bit in terms of players getting injured. You know, most of the time because we've been playing with a steady 11 or a steady 10 players most of the time, and sometimes players have to play through injury. That's what's been hampering us through the whole season.
That victory for Hard Times have shot them up to 5th in the table. Going back to Thursday, Mantab and TGA Diep Bay Eagles drew 3-3. Nathaniel Huggins scored twice for Diep Bay in the 17th and 40th minute, and Ronaldo Matthew scored from the penalty spot in the 56th minute. Sylvester Alexander scored a hat-trick for Mantab in the 52nd, 54th and 83rd minutes. Division 1 football continues with matches on Tuesday.